art of wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
Oh, man. All right, guys, you ready to do this? Let's get it done. You're about to listen to The Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's a personal journal. It's an entry way into the minds, the souls, the hearts, and the lives of the people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I am your host. My name is Colt Cabana. I'm a little bit tired. I'm a guy sitting on a new chair, though. Hopefully that will pep it up. Probably make me more tired because then I'm super relaxed on this clutch chair, but I'm getting through it. Most importantly, though, I am a professional wrestler, and I am sitting here live in my studio apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Before I go any further, this is a fan-supported and listener-supported podcast supported by people just like you. We give it to you free of charge every single Thursday. ColtCabana.com, SoundCloud, iTunes, Howl, wherever you get your podcasts from. A couple great ways that you can support. Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Tell a friend. Let somebody know. Tweet it out. Facebook it out. Snapchat it out. Anyways, appreciated. The best way that you can support, though, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. T-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, digital downloads. I got some new matches on the old digital thing. And, of course, the Wrestling Road Diaries available to watch. Great ways to support. ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. I'll start off with that quick little plug. Clutch Chairs with a Z on the end.com sent me a new gaming chair, which I've turned into a podcast chair. Marty and I opened the box on my YouTube channel. We got mail. We also opened a Pro Wrestling Tees subscription box and a Lucha Loot box. Those are always fun to do. I like doing weird shit like that. Marty and I both like being creative and improving. I think we like to improv. I think we're good improvers. You put us on a stage and you say, give me a suggestion, I think we're going to shit the bed. But talk about wrestling or talk about anything that's in our element, we do great. I'm speaking for myself. He's the best. He's a stand-up comic. He can fucking do anything. But for me and him as a team, that's how we work best. Oh, which makes me kind of sad because $5 Wrestling was the best. Hopefully we can find another project like that. And I say that because Jake Manning, who is in charge of all of that, comes up a lot in the talk with Cedric Alexander, and he's jumped into comedy. So full circle, I don't know if that's the right word for now, but circle, somewhere in that inner circle of circleness, Jake Manning, $5 Wrestling, Cedric Alexander, it all ties in. We're going to get to Cedric in a second, though. Fuck it. Let's get right into him now. Okay, this talk happened before he signed a contract with the WWE, but it wasn't super long ago. But who knows with me and all that stuff. I think we all kind of assumed he was going there. Just an easily, obviously standout guy. So for reference of any of this, we don't talk about any WWE thing. I shy away from it, and you'll see that at the end. But just know he's a star, but he hasn't even, tapped the potential. So this is one that's going to be exciting in 6 years when you look back on the archives at howl.fm, and you're like, oh, Cedric Alexander back in 2016. Ooh. So you'll dig this chat now. I think this is one you'll dig probably better in a couple of years. For me, the weekend, pretty crazy, constant travel. Just got back from Costa Rica, back on the road, and it's not that it's catching up with me, but I'm noticing it. Cleveland on Friday. A lot of people thought I was there for the fight. I was not. I got to work. I'm a working man. I did watch the fight Saturday night, and that's the extent of you hearing me talk about that. But I was in Cleveland. A lot of people were there for the fight tonight early, so that was kind of exciting to see some of those people make their way over to AIW. Some of the girls from the Four Horsewomen of the Apocalypse were roaming around. Dan Severn was roaming around. Matt Riddle, so it was a very shoot-fighty environment. Also got to see John Pollock from The Law, one of my favorite journalists in all of journalism. And a girl named Esther Lynn was ringside taking pictures. She took a nice little picture of me. And then I found out that, she's one of the top MMA picture takers. And she was there, obviously, to document all the other people involved in that world. And I snuck one in. The picture, that is, you fucking weirdos. While I was in Cleveland, I met up with a guy who I was going to share the next two nights with. His name was Grado. He's one of my favorite human beings of all time. And while we were there, we did an extra bonus commentary on Wrestling Road Diaries 3, meaning we both watched the first edit, we did a commentary to it, and then I'm going to put that out for free on YouTube. So it's going to be uploaded to my YouTube eventually. And then if you buy the movie, you can watch the movie, and then you can also watch the movie with Grado and I, which hopefully makes it extra fun, a little extra bonus. You see how my marketing head is starting to churn there. On Saturday, I was off to New Jersey and Wrestle Pro. Coolfully, I was going to say gratefully, but cool. I'd say coolfully, I had a 1 o'clock flight, which is something that never happens in wrestling. So I got to wake up at 11:30, chill out a little bit, and get on the flight and head on over to New Jersey. And that's kind of where a fan of mine, Stacy, who she's been a fan, she's gone there for years with her husband and their son, Mark. Man, she told me on Instagram that the quote is mushy. I looked mushy, which I would take as unenergetic, sad, and frumpy. And that's never the point on purpose, but I think it did kind of spark hey, I'm nonstop with this thing, and sometimes the energy can get sucked out of me. And that definitely not in the ring. When I'm out in the ring, it's always on. I'm always ready to go. But sometimes, you got to be in these buildings for fucking 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Sometimes it just takes it out of you. That is in no way and in no sense ever a slight on the fans or anybody else. But, that's real life feelings. That's real people. We're real people. Sometimes we get super tired and we travel around a lot. And that's going to happen. Not in my performance, though, as it was a fun match. Always a fun card at WrestlePro. And that was my first time seeing Cody Rhodes on the Independence. It was like 95 degrees. He came in a suit. I remember when Steve Corino tried to be the suit guy. That'll end soon, buddy. That'll end soon. It's fun to come in a suit, but it's more fun to come in a tank top and cargo shorts. I'm not letting go of these cargo shorts. I'm sorry. And the next day, I went to the great San Antonio Bash, San Antonio, Texas. Haven't been there in a long time. Thanks to all you fans that were there. You saw an interesting one. You saw me work Buff Bagwell in the opener. It was very weird, very fun. Kurt Angle was there. He was watching it. He told me it was the best match that was on the card, and not necessarily for me. He's like, I know you can wrestle. He goes, but I didn't know Buff can move around like that, and he could. And his shoulder was fucked, and he still was moving around. This guy's a workhorse. He's still a workhorse. He's got this sweet new haircut. Hopefully you can find pictures somehow of seeing Buff Bagwell. But he's like the ultimate wrestler. I made a gigolo comment on the opening mic that some of the boys told me all the boys were riled up and couldn't believe I said it. But I did, and it was fun, and he loved it. He's game for everything. And that's Buff Bagwell is nothing but A+ in my book. Also, you know who was great? The Booker T wrestlers. He had a lot of his wrestlers down there wrestling on the show, and they were all really good, which is nice to know that there's a good trainer out there putting out good new talent who will eventually, rise up the ranks and be good. And these guys were, and that's exciting. The song of the week this week is exciting too. But before we get to it, 54club.com is sponsoring the song of the week. And yeah, I like my cargo shorts, but they're trying to get me out of it because they're sending me really cool clothes every single month. They're my personal stylist, and I need one badly. I hate shopping. I hate it so much. I almost hate it as much as I hate reading. And that's why these guys are so great. They just send it right to you. You don't have to try on anything. You don't have to contemplate anything. You don't have to look at labels or sales or anything. It's just shipped right to you. And thanks to 54 Club, now I got a closet filled with real stylish clothes. It's like half stylish clothes and half wrestling shirts I've collected over the years. If you got the clothing budget, it just makes perfect sense. $60 a month. Shipping is absolutely free. They're out of Los Angeles. That means they got a great grip on what is what. 54 is a members-only club. That means you can't get the stuff in stores. You have to belong. You got to be invited. It's not hard to get invited. You just go on the website. You pick your preference of style. I like casual. They got a bunch of other stuff, though. Head on over to 54club.com and use the promo code COLT. That's going to get you 50% off your first 2 months, and that offer ends at the end of September. So get on it right now. FIVEFOURCLUB.com. Use that code COLT. Get like $250 worth of clothes for only $60 and start looking good today. All right, this song, it's by Daryl Rhodes. He doesn't have much of an internet presence, but he's still out there touring. He's still getting it done. His website is actually music-comedy.com. You know he's been around when he has music-comedy.com. The song itself, it was sang about and is a tribute to Austin Idol. It's very vintage, but it's very great. Let's hear him sing the song, Heartthrob, and then we'll be back with Cedric Alexander. Hey guys, we're also brought to you today by Audible.com. If you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, you know how much I hate to read. It's one of the reasons that I love podcasts so much. It also makes perfect sense for Audible to be a sponsor of the art of wrestling. Audible.com is the best way to listen to audiobooks with leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, entertainers, magazine and newspaper publishers, and business information providers. They got an app. It's absolutely free. It works on iPhones, iPads, Androids, and Windows phones. Unlike streaming or rental services, you will own your books. You can access them anytime, anywhere, right from your smartphone. They also have a great listen guarantee, which means if you chose a book that you hated, don't worry about it. Exchange it for one that you're happy with. No questions asked. Head on over to audible.com/lowercasecolt and get a free 30-day trial membership. Who's got time to read? Gross. Start listening to books. Do it for free for 30 days by heading on over to audible.com/Colt. All right, I just let the train go by. Cedric, are you soft-spoken?
I'm very soft-spoken. I don't speak a lot.
As I had to move these levels up and down. Were you A promo guy? How much? What's your?
No, I'm not a promo guy. I am. I try to speak as little as possible.
As little as possible. Why'd you agree to do this?
Well, because it's you.
No, thank you.
I mean, that's why. I mean,
have you ever done like a long form thing like this before? Well, you were on the live one.
Yeah,
in Ontario,
in Canada. Yes.
Have Michael and those guys ever made you do anything? One of those Highspots things?
I did one with Michael a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about it?
It was weird.
What was weird about it?
Because
it's your boss?
Essentially my boss interviewing me.
And he knows everything about you.
Exactly. So it was kind of like, well, you know everything. Why are we talking about this?
Right. And he's like, we got to get it out.
Everyone has to hear your story.
And of course, Michael from Highspots fame, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who you probably have years of stories about.
Oh. And they're all mean stories about him, how he yells at me. That's all. That's all.
We don't want to talk about bad about Michael on this thing.
No, I love Michael. He's done a lot for me.
So, but you're not like when? Do you remember the first time you ever did a promo in wrestling?
Yes, it was. Oh man, a crappy little building in Mocksville, North Carolina, in front of like 40 people. It was terrible.
Okay, so tell me everything about it. So, who was the promoter? What'd they say? Like, hey, jump on the mic.
The promoter's, I can't remember the promoter's name, but he also wrestled on the show. He was a big Shane Helms mark. So like everything he did was very Shane Helms-ish. And he said, you're wrestling, I don't even remember who I was wrestling. You're just some guy. Mm-hmm. Go out there and be a bad guy. And I was like, all right, cool. It's in front of 40 people. And most of which I knew, they're like my family. So it's hard to be like tough. Yeah, I'm going to beat the crap out of this dude and nothing he can do about it, while my mom is cheering and saying, go son.
So you have an infamously loud mother, right?
Yes.
At the shows, right?
Yes.
Yeah, God, okay. Oh, we'll get into that. Fun. All right. So 40 people, basically your family.
Yep.
And the guy's like, did the guy know that you're family ticket buyers or snuck in?
Snuck in. Totally snuck in. He had no clue that all 40 of my family members were there.
Okay. So I was going to say, if they had all bought tickets, he'd be like, well, this is my top baby face, of course, right?
Oh, of course. No. Oh, you're black. You're a bad guy.
No.
Yeah, it's sad. It's North Carolina, man. What do you want me to do?
And then, okay, so then he's like, oh, also, we're in Chicago in my apartment, so you'll have to note the sounds of beautiful Chicago. And
the trash.
Train goes by.
Train and trash cans.
Trains, trash cans, everything. But easily powered through. Okay, so tell me. So you're a black guy, go fight this guy.
Yeah, and you're a heel, be a bad guy. All right, cool.
And what, he requested you get on the microphone at first?
Yes, and it did not end well because my parents say, "Yeah, that's right. You're gonna beat his ass, son." And my brother and his girlfriend, they're like not even caring. They're on their phones texting, and I'm like trying to point him out, and he's just like, "Yeah, whatever. I'll see you at home tomorrow."
I've started a new thing where I grab people's cell phones in the middle of the match, and I can get away with it.
I don't know if I could get away with it. I don't know if I'm that good.
I'm just like, I don't know. I feel because we're performers, like, I look at it like stand-up comedy, like, I guess that kind of like ruins the whole flow of, well, it doesn't. I don't know. It couldn't. But I feel like
depends, yeah.
Wrestling's so interactive that it's just fine for me to just go grab their phone, give it to the bell ringer, and be like, you'll get this back when you're done. That's what I'll do a lot now.
Like a high school teacher who's like, they find a student texting in the middle of a math session. Yeah.
And everyone can relate
see
with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like everyone can relate with that because that's happened to everybody. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but just the idea that like you're soft spoken, you don't speak a lot.
No, I'm not a tough guy at all. So I can't sound tough.
So but like, did anyone give you? Were you doing promo classes, promo lessons?
Not really. All I ever got from my promos was just slow down and don't talk so high pitched. But I have a naturally high pitched voice, and I can't help that. It's just who I am. God, why? Tell me about this promo. So it's just like, were you nervous at the fact that you had to go do a promo? Oh God, yeah. I was like probably 3 months into wrestling at the time, and go be a bad guy. All right, cool, whatever. I'm gonna say all the basic, the classic bad guy stuff, and I'm gonna rub his face in the dirt, and I'm gonna teach him a lesson, and blah blah blah. And
how would you rate your talking now?
Oh, I'm still at like a solid 4 out of 10.
So you're getting there.
I got up from a -4 to a +4.
Did you feel at the time where you started getting comfortable, or no?
I'm oddly enough only comfortable now doing in-ring kind of promos. Like, if you put a camera in my face, I'm screwed. Mm-hmm. But in the ring in front of a bunch of people, I'm good.
Is that... I kind of like I'll feel the same way. I think after a match... Mm-hmm. Is it more after a match?
Yeah, totally after a match.
Yeah, when adrenaline's going and you're just like, oh.
You're sweating, you're tired. It's like, I can blow through this easy.
I think because it's easy to make real emotions at that point because you've like been through something emotionally.
Yes, 100% agree.
Whereas if you're just backstage and they're just like, you got someone counting you down, right?
It's like 4 camera guys and a lighting guy. Just like, all right, make this good. You got 1 minute. It's like,
Did you have to do a lot of that for Ring of Honor? Was that your first experience kind of doing that stuff?
Yeah, that was the first time. Well, at that time I was a year and a half, 2 years into wrestling when I first got signed to Ring of Honor. And
that's crazy, by the way.
Oh, it was just luck. It was all Michael. Michael Highspots got that hooked up for me. But yeah, and at first I didn't do any of the talking. I was tagged with Caprice Coleman, and he did all the talking.
Great talker too.
Oh, he's so good. Like, he can just spout off things and not have to think about it. Where me, I'm just kind of sitting there like, yep, I agree with that guy, whatever he said.
Do you, man, like, so there's those, I did the podcast awards for the podcast movement.
There's a podcast awards?
There's a thing for everything, but
that's awesome. I didn't know that.
But while I was there, Kevin Smith was there. Do you know of and or are a fan of?
Yes,
of course,
definitely, of course. I'm a nerd, man. Come on,
right? That's what I'm saying. I'm a nerd, man.
Come on.
And he did an hour, and you could tell like he probably got paid like $10,000 or whatever it was, mm-hmm. and it was in front of like 1,000 people. It was like a keynote speech or whatever it was, and you could tell he just went up there and just was like. Had no plan, had no nothing, and just talked eloquent.
He talked really, really good.
He talked really well for an hour, and I was just like, how does this man do that? You know, but for him, he doesn't even know, and I think it's kind of the same as Caprice or anybody who even watch, and you can relate to this now too. Is probably like when you first started, and we'll talk about those people. Is like wrestlers that you saw, and you're like, how are they that good? How do they move like that? I will never know. And then here you are, X years later, and you're one of those guys who can move like that and can wrestle like that.
Well, thank you. Well.
You know, it's not even. It is a little not even an ass kiss, but it's just like the idea of like, oh, when you just do something a bunch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so, like, Caprice is at that moment because I think he's a pastor, right?
Yeah, pastor, and he's in front of people all the time.
Yeah.
So, like, for him, it's just it's like breathing. Yeah. He just does it.
Yeah. And so I don't know, but you know, like one day, all right. And it's funny, is in 10 years you'll have that down.
Oh.
And you'll remember back to this podcast where you're like, I couldn't believe that he talked like that.
I hope I can get that in 10 years.
You know, and I don't even know what the practice is.
Yeah. Well,
just start talking.
You just speak in front of the mirror, right? That's what I'll hear people do, but I never do that. I do it like in the shower. Just do a promo.
You know, a lot of mine was like the art of bullshitting, like.
Huh. Like with fans?
No, of just like in normal life, like when you were like going to a restaurant or doing whatever.
Okay.
And it's kind of because it's funny because I was just with a friend who just told me, he's like, you're super. I consider myself a bit of an introvert.
Okay.
And I was with a friend who was super introverted. And we were talking about that, and then like we were going out, and I would like make a comment to some girls, and he's just like, how do you do that? How do you know what I'm saying? And I consider myself an awful flirt too. Like at a bar, I wouldn't go up to a girl, but like in the right situation, I'm not afraid to like speak, and I feel I switched that on from wrestling, like because when I learned, I had to kind of like be switched on a little bit.
That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I haven't quite found that switch yet.
You've never done that.
Never.
I
should. I should
yeah.
do that.
I don't know why. I think it was like whoever brought me, Danny and Ace were like, you can't be like a shy little pussy boy,
Use that exact phrasing?
I don't think so. In my head, that's exactly what they said. Okay, so so you're from Charlotte. Mm-hmm. This is the Michael time when I sit you down and I tell everyone the exact story that I know about you.
Okay.
No, so yeah, you were in Ring of Honor in a year and a half,
mm-hmm.
which is wild because I feel you were like when I started doing stuff with Jake and $5 Wrestling and stuff. It just seemed like you'd been around for a long time.
No, I was just when you start doing it? I was like 2010. You were doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like less than a year in at the time, and I was just refereeing for $5 Wrestling.
Yeah, but you like were good. I'd seen you wrestle also, and you were good. Were you
thought
one
it
of these
was
guys who were
okay.
just kind of good right off the bat?
Other people tell me that. I didn't think so. I thought it was garbage. Like, I thought I knew moves, but if you told me, like, hey, how do you do this move? I couldn't explain it to you. Like, I could do it. I just didn't know how I did it.
Well, so who was in your wrestling class, and then explain to me, like, where you... Because that's how I knew I was pretty good, is a lot of people in my class sucked.
Okay, so here's the weird thing about the wrestling class I was in. So the way Highspots training works is you pay up front for like 3 months of training, and then
Also, I love that you were trained by Highspots, and that's what you say.
or George South more specifically.
I like the idea of, like, you can buy gear, you could buy a mask, you could buy yourself getting trained. You could
Highspots has everything. It's essentially everything.
It's on the Highspots website. Like, be a wrestler.
It is.
Yeah.
It's there. So a lot of guys like to come and go. Well, like they'll pay the 3 months up front, and then they may come 2 weeks, and then you won't see them for another 6 months, and then they try to come back. So I was in that weird flux where a lot of guys came in for a few months at a time, and then everyone left, and it was just me. So there are a lot of like Thursdays and Wednesdays where it's just me and Jake training together, and I was the only one in there with them. And then other days when Jake couldn't do it, I was with George South, who did every Tuesday, and it was just me and this trainee named Vicky, who passed away a few years ago.
She passed away.
She passed away. Now, the thing about Vicky is she was hit by a 18-wheeler, tractor trailer, whatever it was. Well, she was 4 years old.
Oh,
So she was.
that's how she died.
No. She was 4 years old, and she survived. She pulled through. She was severely handicapped. Couldn't walk, completely straight. Had kind of a lisp, and but she still got there and trained and bumped and everything. And for at least 6 months, it was just me and Vicky the whole time. And we're going back and forth. And if I took a hip toss from her and then got up kind of slow, she would call me a pussy and tell me to get up.
Yeah.
I was like, well, all right. Well, if I can't say anything to you.
Right, of course.
Like, you win. You hit by an 18-wheeler. You win everything. So.
Were you close? Or you like? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you're sad that she passed.
Yeah.
That was like your person, though, right?
Yeah, and for a month at a time, just me and Vicky all the time, and I would take her home after each training session. So we were actually pretty close.
How did she
And
pass?
She passed in her sleep. With her health issue complications, she, if I remember correctly, it was a brain aneurysm that took her when she went to sleep.
So it all caught up with her.
It all caught up with her.
Fuck, man. Do you know people that die all the time? Have you known a lot of people that died?
No. Vicky was maybe the third person since I started wrestling that I knew that passed away.
Since you started wrestling.
Since I started, like 7 years ago.
But like, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't like. No one in my high school ever died. Like, I don't know. No one like around me ever died.
I'm kind of like a turtle, where like I sit in my shell and I don't worry about the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So if someone had died, I probably didn't know about it.
Sure.
But
I'm just saying, like,
close
that you
friends,
knew, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just close friends.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, Vicky's the only one.
Did she want to be like a big star? Was she? Or
Yeah.
Did she just want to just hang out and do wrestling?
No, she wanted to wrestle all the time. She wanted to be in front of people,
Yeah.
and she trained for about 6 years and only got 3 matches.
Huh.
All
What was her
with
wrestling name?
Oh man, she was the lioness of the ring, Vicky Lyons.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, and I think all 3 of her matches were against Daphne,
Oh,
because Daphne at the time was in and out of Highspots.
down there in training.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's okay. So you didn't have like a lot of people to compare yourself to. No,
not
but you
really.
did know that you were the only one kind of going consistently.
Yes.
So that had to be like, okay, I'm the only one going consistently, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That itself, I guess. Well, hey, I must be pretty good. I'm the only one still around.
Well, I'm the only one. Yeah, I'm not a quitter. Right?
Yeah, I'm not a pussy like this football player who came in and thought he could do it and never came back.
Really, there's a handful of those kind of
Dude,
people.
Marines, football players, basketball players, power lifters. Like, if you know an athlete that's out there doing something, they probably came in and then quit.
From Charlotte.
From Charlotte.
How would they get there? Who would they?
They'd always hear about it from a TV. Was it Michael had commercials for a little while? So like he had commercials on local TV and stuff like that. And for a while, he would like give flyers out at shows for the program, and that's how they would find out about it. Or some guy would fly from New York, say, "I heard this is a good training school. I'm going to come here," and then never see him again.
So it's so weird, but it happens all the time. I also
All the
like the
time.
idea of the training commercials because like those were back in like the 90s, and Michael's putting them out like 10 years ago. Like, do you want to be a pro wrestler?
Exactly how it was. And then what was it? George was actually like doing the pros. Like, you want to be a pro wrestler? You come down here to pro wrestling training school, and Mr. Number One, George South, would teach you how to wrestle. Blah blah blah. And it would have like,
sorry.
They would have like freaking like guys taking hip tosses or suplexes. I'm like, I want to do this
In the background, right?
Yeah.
It's straight out of like, you ever seen those like lost footage VHS?
Yes.
Like on YouTube? Or
It was almost exactly like
Of
that.
course.
Yeah.
It was pretty recent. Yeah.
So good.
Okay, so so you're from Charlotte? Mm-hmm. And just tell me about your childhood. I don't know. You're a nerd. You're a kid of a nerd.
I am a nerd. I am the black sheep of the family. Like,
now hold on. Now this is not racist of me, but like probably pretty insensitive. But I'm inquisitive.
Okay.
No, but like the black nerd kid. Does that mean you were around mostly white people?
not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
Quite the opposite, actually. All my girlfriends
Isn't that
were.
weird? Isn't that normal for me to probably think though?
It's fair to think that, but I never really had too many white friends.
Okay.
Not that I like exiled them or whatever.
Sure.
But I just happened to be a lot whiter than the rest of my family, I guess.
Okay.
Like everyone's watching football and basketball, and I'm in there watching fucking Dragon Ball Z or something, and everyone's into sports. Everyone loves to go do a certain. I never liked sports. I was never a football guy. I was never a basketball guy, or even tennis or baseball. Wrestling was the closest thing that I ever came to.
So
like,
what were the obsessions? Pro wrestling was one.
Pro wrestling was definitely one of them. Things like cartoons, anime, video games, comic books. As you can tell by my outfit, well, you can tell, but
Yeah.
the people at home, I'm wearing a Spider-Man shirt with Avengers pajama
In
pants.
real life.
This is a real life. Oh, and
Spider-Man hat.
a Deadpool hat.
A Deadpool
by the way.
hat.
Yeah, that's my ensemble right now.
Did you feel, because now like there's these things with the Comic Cons
Mm-hmm.
and like and in wrestling too, like everyone with the internet you can really find your community and stuff.
Yep.
Did you feel like an outcast, or did you have people that you related to?
A few people, like I knew off bat I was like more different than everyone else in my family. Like, they. To feed a little bit of your racist side, they love
Don't
chitlins
say
and hot
that.
sauce.
Don't say feed
Oh,
my racist.
But okay. For example, the classic black stereotype is black people like chitlins and hot sauce. I hate chitlins and hot
Mm-hmm. There you
sauce.
go.
I despise it.
Yeah.
So for that would be a good example.
Well,
I guess.
where did is it just like they put the TV in front of you and you pick the stuff up, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And like, God, it's just kind of interesting. Like, why are we? I don't know why. Like, because I would assume it would be like a brother, or an uncle, or someone would show this stuff to you.
It was mainly just I had weird friends. Not that they were, troublemakers or anything. It was like, hey, we got this cool thing called some freaky anime from Japan. You want to check it out? Okay, sure. It's different. I'll look at it.
So you're like the nerdy friends.
Yes. Yes. My friends are all nerds. I am probably the most athletic person of the group of friends that I know.
Right. Oh man. So where was I at? Oh, so where does wrestling come? So is that just part of like that culture?
No, actually, it's not even close. My stepdad one day was watching WCW. I remember it had Juventud Guerrera versus Rey Mysterio. And I remember just walking by and seeing the mask and then the colorful outfits and them doing all this high flying stuff. I was like, oh, that's just like whatever, like Warrior of the North Star or whatever cartoon I was watching. I was like, oh, it's the same thing.
Wait,
So-
what's Fist of the North Star?
Sorry, Fist of the North
Is
Star.
that
Why did
right?
I say yes?
Did I just out-nerd you?
You did out-nerd me. Son of a bitch.
Why?
You
Why
did.
do I know Fist of the North Star? It was a video game, I think.
It was a video game and it was an anime. Yep.
Yeah, but I know it from the video game, I think. Yeah. That's right.
Damn it, I got out-nerded by Colt. But that's kind of how it started, where they're doing all this cool stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. And I would just, so the WCW Cruiserweights got me hooked on wrestling, and then after that,
Then you have to transition to like, because yeah, I'd imagine if I liked Mysterio and Hoovy and Psychosis, I don't know, like you have to then transition to like appreciating Dean Malenko.
Exactly. Like at first, I hated Dean Malenko because
Right.
he didn't have cool colors on. He
Yeah.
didn't do any like flips and stuff. So like I guess the transition between like a Mysterio and a Malenko would be like Jericho, where he would wear all these weird colors and he was still pretty athletic and do some
Yeah.
cool stuff. And it kind of made me like verge over into like like a Benoit or Booker T.
And then you start appreciating the art for what it is.
Yes, for what it is. It went from just, they're doing flips to, okay, this is really, really cool stuff going on.
The whole story of it.
Yeah, the whole story of it.
Okay, and then how do you... Okay, so what is it? Your stepmom or your stepdad?
My stepdad.
Who you living with?
At this point, it is my stepdad, my brother, and my mother.
Stepdad, your brother, and your mother.
Mm-hmm.
One brother.
One brother.
Where's your dad at?
I didn't know my dad until I was 13, 14.
Until he saw you on Ring of Honor television. He was like, give me that money.
Oh, I wish it was that easy. I could tell him to fuck off.
So what, he showed up?
Well, okay, so my brother had always had a relationship with his dad. Okay, and fun fact, my brother is mixed. He is his dad's white, my mom's black.
Okay.
So I would always see my brother and his parents, and his parent, and then my mom. They would all get together and then take him to go Carowinds, which is like a big theme park in North Carolina, and they have all this fun and stuff. And I'm kind of like, well, where's my dad? I haven't met my dad before. I have never seen him. Where's my extra Christmas presents and stuff like that? Like, I want that shit too. And it bugged me for so many years. And then finally, my mom said, hey, we're going to track your dad down. We're going to find him. And I remember, I'm trying to remember. I think one day he just kind of showed up and was like, hey, I'm your dad.
Did your mom track him down?
She tracked him down. She found him.
On what, the internet?
No, she remembered all his information, like his full name and where he used to live and all that kind of stuff. And I remember at one point she took me to a clinic and we got cotton swabs in our mouths for a DNA test. And I was like, what is this for? And she never answered me. We just went it. And then 3 weeks later, Dad shows up at the doorstep like, hey, I'm Pops. How are you?
And do you have a relationship with him now?
Nope.
Oh, wow.
No. I met him when I was like 14. I saw him maybe 3 times after that. So like maybe once a year or something like that. Until I was in college when I was 18 years old. And I called him once because I needed financial help with books and stuff. He sent me $50 to put towards books. And I never spoke to him again.
That's like... it's one of those Italian movies where it's like if you want someone out of your life, you give them like, fine, here's the money, but I'm never gonna talk to you again.
Exactly.
The $50.
It's like, really? That's all? $50?
In his head, he's just like, oh, you're gonna fucking drain me, huh?
Oh,
well, fine. Here,
watch
I'll
this.
give it to you.
That's pretty much how it was. And he was married when him and my mom actually hooked up. So I guess he was trying to hide me from his wife. Because I remember I was 19 and I got really pissed off and I called his house one day and his wife picked up. And I told her my name and, hey, I'm looking for Larry, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, oh, he's not here. I goes, oh, can you tell him Cedric called? And she's like, okay, all right, well, bye. So to my recollection, she has no clue who I am.
She had no clue who you were.
No clue.
Yeah.
And apparently I have 2 older brothers who I've never met. Well, obviously I've never met them either.
Do you sit and ponder about this stuff, or is it just like you can't?
I sit and think, and then eventually I go, I just get filled with hatred, and I get real pissed off. I say, fuck it,
Yeah.
I got my own life to deal with. I'm not gonna, worry about why he didn't take the time.
But then also like all the brothers and stuff that you probably have, and like,
yeah, I probably got a lot of nieces and nephews. I don't know either. It does bother me a little bit, but not so much to where I want to.
I mean, I guess I have like, you would think like, oh, this great family, but I have cousins that I can't even be bothered to talk to. So like, right at the end of the day, it's probably like more people that you just want to turtle shell yourself.
Exactly. just avoid the world. Like why? Like, well, why track them down?
So
I'm probably gonna hate them anyway.
Right. Yeah. So okay. So when did you got into wrestling?
19.
At 19.
Mm-hmm.
So you did a year of college.
I did 2 years. I graduated when I was 17. I went to Muskegon, Michigan for college.
Really?
Yep.
For what reason?
Wrestling scholarship.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I wrestled all 4 years of high school.
What college?
Muskegon Community College.
Okay.
And then they gave me a full ride there. I got into some trouble. Did some bad things.
Oh, no.
Had to go home. Then it ended up going to Spartanburg Methodist College in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Like illegal stuff, or like stuff that or stuff that we shouldn't even talk about on here?
Nothing illegal. I just got in trouble with a girl.
Okay.
That's all. And she caused a lot of issues in my life.
Gotcha.
That's all it really
They'll
was.
do that.
Yeah, they will do
girls,
that.
yeah.
Those girls.
And you're
Those
just like, I
damn
got to
girls.
get out of here.
Yeah, I just got to go home. And then
You
went back
dropped
home.
your scholarship?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because of her?
Because of her.
Then do you... So now you have to pay for college when
Yes.
you came back?
Yeah, came back. It wasn't...
But you weighed that. You're like,
It was like...
is it worth paying? Like, I'm willing to pay for college.
And then I'm like 13 hours from home in Michigan.
Yeah.
My family's in North Carolina. I'd rather just go back home, be close. Fuck, if I have to
some
pay,
bills,
who cares?
right.
Exactly.
Have some,
Who cares?
Some student loans.
And I'm still paying for those.
And, okay, and so then where does pro wrestling come into it?
I did a year in Spartanburg Methodist College, and then I told my mom, I was like, look, I did it your way. I promised her that I would wait to do college before I tried wrestling.
Yeah,
I was like, look,
story.
all right, look, I did it. Now let's go. Let's do this thing.
Like, in my head, I was like, Mom, I'm 18. I'm an adult now. I can do whatever I want.
Essentially.
That's kind
That's
of like-
pretty much what it was. Pretty much what it was. But then I was going to like drop college and go to wrestling after I was in Michigan. But since I got in trouble and mom had to bail me out, I was like, all right, I'm going to wait another year before I try to pull this on her.
Okay.
And then bam.
Did you always know you were going to go to Highspots?
No clue.
What was your plans like before that?
I was going to go to Lance Storm's training school and Canada somehow. I don't know how I was going to get there, but I know I was going to
When
try.
did you started when? 2009?
2009.
Okay, that just started maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like when I left, maybe no, because I was in OVW 2007. I think he had just left to start that.
Yeah, the school opened in what? It opened in 09, the beginning of 09,
Did it?
right? I think so.
Either 08 or 09, I think.
I remember looking after school and it was like brand new wrestling school from Lance Storm and blah, 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 blah. I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go there. And then nothing ever came of that. And then, okay, this shows how weird the internet is. It said that Ivan Koloff had a school that was like 2 blocks from my house.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote him a letter and everything. I even went to the school. It's just a building. And there's nothing in there. It's just a warehouse with nothing in it.
Did you ever later find, you had to have done some research to be like, what? And you've probably seen him.
Yeah, and I saw him after I started training with Highspots, and I asked him about it. And he was like, "Yeah, it was there for like 6 months, and then it was it.
Oh, it was just a start and stop, huh?
Pretty much."
Is that the last time he ever? That'd be amazing to be trained by Ivan Koloff.
I know, so awesome.
Yeah. Did he lives in Charlotte?
Yes. Him and George South are really really tight. So
They're Jesus buddies, right?
they're Jesus buddies. My first show with Ivan, he wrestled George, and George like is blading for him. So I'm like,
Unbelievable.
I thought you loved Jesus, George. Hey, why are you doing this?
Jesus loves blood.
You're a masochist for Jesus, man.
Right?
I don't know.
When I remember being in developmental and being in OVW in Louisville, and like on TV there was like George South Jesus wrestling. Like it was just like,
Was it?
yeah, it was like in a tent, and it was on TV somewhere. It was so weird.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about because I remember watching one of these like at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
In North Carolina. I can't remember.
Did you?
the name
You
of
never
promotion.
wrestled for that then?
No, I did. I totally did. But they didn't have TV then. It was just them in a tent.
And what, he would just sell shows for like $20?
Something like
It'd
that.
be like a sold show for. That's how I can picture it. Like he's selling a show to a church for $100.
I don't know if it's quite like that, but he always had these church shows where we're doing it for the kids, and I know the pastor's giving him something, but of course, he used all the trainees. Your payment is being on this show
Of course.
and learning how to wrestle in
Yeah.
front of people. So
So how'd you find Highspots?
I went to a random show that was in a shitty gym in North Carolina. Actually, it was my first met Freight Train.
Oh wow.
Freight Train was on the show.
He was the main event.
He was made of
And
it.
you're like, one day if I could be as good as Freight Train. Dude, I think that would turn me, well, okay, that'd be two things. If I went to my first show and I saw, maybe that wasn't your first show, but if I saw Freight Train on the main event, one of two things, like A, like I don't want anything to do with this, or B, like, oh, I can easily be a professional wrestler.
It's exactly how I took it. It's exactly how I took it because he was like beating the guy up around with a chair, and I'm like, he's moving so slow. Like
Yeah.
I could move way faster than that. Like I could easily do this. And I talked to the guy's name. He was Sweet Dreams, who actually trained with George a little bit before. And I asked him, hey, where do I go in Charlotte to get trained? And he put me in the direction of Highspots.
Right.
And then like 2 weeks later, I saw a commercial. I was like, oh, well, now I got to go.
Do you want to be a professional wrestler?
Do you want to be a professional wrestler? Come to North Carolina Training School off Wendover Road, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, man, I hope that's still up and around. Is that on YouTube somewhere?
It might be. There's a good chance it is.
Man, hopefully Jake can like put like and make it like real 80s-ish more. And like put like the VHS edit thing on it where it looks like it's all VHS-y. Okay, and so then you just start wrestling.
You start wrestling?
Just like all these guys, right? They're just you're on all these crappy shows.
All these crappy shows, getting paid hot dogs and Mountain Dew.
Are you working for, when do you start working for Highspots?
I know, man, technically, I started off working for Highspots, like right now I was training because I came in, first day of training, blah, blah, blah. The next week, he was like, hey, we gotta take this ring to a show. Come help. All right, cool. Boom, help, got paid a little bit of money. It was fine. And then 2 months after I started training, they did the NWA Legends Fan Fest. I was a camera guy for that. So that was me helping out. And they was like, hey, look, you helped us out with this convention. You get a free month of training. And then from that point on, I just slowly worked my way into Highspots.
And yeah, so were you, like, because you had to come back to life, right? Were you going to college still or no?
No.
You'd stopped college.
Stopped college.
You're like, this is life.
Yep. Still live with my parents.
What's that?
Still living with my parents.
Yeah. Well, were your parents upset or were they like?
No, they were like, hey, do it. They're like, you're meeting all these legends. You're meeting Lex Luger and the Nasty Boys. Exactly. They started marking out because my mom.
It's not like they knew who they were. Did they?
Yeah. No, my mom was going to train to be a wrestler.
What?
Yes.
Wait, we're this deep into this and you haven't told me this? You said nobody liked wrestling. Or nobody liked the anime stuff.
No. Nobody liked the anime stuff. The wrestling was different. The wrestling was separate. Like my stepdad got me into it. Remember, I saying he was watching WCW and I just came in on that.
Okay.
So my mom was actually going to train to be a wrestler.
Hold on,
but she didn't do it.
Back in the day, or when you started training?
Back in the day.
That'd be so awesome if
Before
you
I
guys
was
trained together.
I know.
Oh
So
man, because she's probably not that old.
40.
Or 40s.
No, sorry, not 40s. 55.
Oh, okay.
55 now.
All right. Listen, I'd be all for that.
I could have been second generation.
You could
I could have been second generation. It
at
was
the
so
same
awesome.
time. So wait, what stopped her from being a wrestler? She's gonna be a lady wrestler.
Yeah, she had to get a real job. Finish high school, had to get a real job.
Like, so this would have been like in the 70s or the 80s?
80s.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
What, did she tell you about her plans about going to wrestling?
She
school?
did.
What
and
was she gonna do?
She told me. I can't remember who she said she was going to train with.
Ivan Koloff, but it was
it could have been Ivan. I don't. But she said she was going to do it because her dad was a big Wahoo McDaniel fan, and he would always come home like from hanging out with the guys or whatever. Come home and say he's going to Wahoo chop someone if they act up wrong in the house or something. And that's something she always remembered and kind of like passed it on to me.
That's like the new. Like frat boys getting drunk and RKOing people out of nowhere. Like that's what it was.
That's exactly what it was. He goes off, hangs out with the boys, gets drunk, come home. You act up, I'm gonna chop the shirt.
Wahoo chop.
Wahoo chop
That's
the
how
shirt.
boring it was back then too.
He even did the dance and everything.
Oh
great.
man, that would have been exciting. Okay, so she's all for it then.
She's all for it.
And then
She's all
you're
for
working at the school, and you're just. I mean, so who's like the most influential? It's got to be just Jake and George.
Caleb.
And Caleb. Has he been wrestling longer than you?
10 years?
Okay.
He's
He's
at
been
10?
wrestling 10 years longer than you?
No, he's wrestling. Oh God. I think we're wrestling 10 years now, 10, 11 years, something like that. So he was. He was one to took me on quite a bit of road trips. Him and Jake both. I was on a road with him at least every weekend, every single weekend. Going to New York, Georgia. Fucking
These were
Kalamazoo.
sponsored by Highspots, kind of, right?
Yes. So all I had to do was just drive. But me being the young boy, I fell asleep a lot in the car, and that didn't end well. It never ended well.
All right, I'm sure.
Oh God.
But like,
That's
you know,
terrible.
it's kind of the perfect situation. You tell me if I'm right or wrong, or just like growing up in wrestling in a warehouse that's just full of all like a business that's based around professional wrestling.
It's the best situation you can possibly come in, I think. Like the only thing that can top that is if you're born into WWE. It's the only way you can be topped.
So I mean, kind of like I guess paint a picture of like what's around there, how it works, how like that first couple years worked for you.
first we were great. Like that's how I got connections in the Ring of Honor, and then all these bigger shows, these bigger independents.
But there's this warehouse in Charlotte that's like
It's full of figures and gear and wrestling rings and title belts, and like it's like the Toys R Us for wrestlers. You just walk in there, I worked for Michael, what, 7 months into training, and every time I got paid, I gave it right back to him in like some kind of wrestling merch, whether it was a t-shirt or trunks or kick pads, whatever. I'd never had money in my pocket because I gave it to Michael for this gear.
And what were some of your jobs there?
I was in charge of DVD production. Well, I don't want to sound that technical about it. I assembled DVDs. I cut the covers and put the images on the disc, and that was it really. That's all it was for a while, and then after that, we went on the road selling merch, and that's pretty much my job's there.
Did you think you learned a better appreciation for like the business side of pro wrestling there, or did you keep yourself away from it?
I try to keep myself away from it. It seemed way too complicated. Michael used to walk around the office so angry about, I lost this much money because of this guy screwing up or whatever. And then other days he'd be happy because our shoot interview did real well in sales, and
But like
so much.
My first, I'd say even like 3 years of wrestling, like I didn't even like think about money or anything. And I feel if I had been in, and like now obviously like I'm a businessman, like I'm very, like driven by, and not money, but like I think the idea of trying to be a success in wrestling,
right?
And then money comes with that, but it's not like the money that drives me. It's the idea of trying to be successful within my industry, I guess. And I feel if I was around all of that, because that's what it's all based off of. Like it's not like that, Michael isn't like, he has a small business, and it's not like winning or losing based on like how much heart he has for driving to shows. Like it's dollars and cents, right?
Yeah, essentially.
And I think you must have ignored that hard not to try to learn those lessons in the first couple years. I just wanted to wrestle. That's all I really cared about. And if I had to assemble DVDs and drive 18 hours in a car to do that, I was like, I just want to get in the ring in front of people. I never thought, I got to sell this much merch and make this much money to survive. I was like, I just want to wrestle. The money will come eventually, right? That's because you were living at home.
I was living at home.
You had no bills.
And no bills. Moved on my parents still. Yeah. So to me, I was like, screw money. I just want to wrestle.
But you had, you got a kid.
I got a kid now. Yeah.
Yeah. How old?
2.
You have 2 kids.
No. I have a 2-year-old. No, 2 kids. Please don't say that.
So was that a wake up call to you?
Yes, that definitely was. Let's see. When I had my daughter, I was how old was I? 25. So I was like 4 years in wrestling, something like that. For me, it was a huge wake up call, of course, like I just said, because I was just kind of coasting, I thought, in wrestling. Like, yeah, okay, cool, I got the Ring of Honor, and I did a couple international tours, and it was like, but I still felt like I was just, going through the motions kind of thing. But then my daughter was born, and I was like, fuck, I got to kick in high gear now, because I got to support not only me and my girl and a baby. How am I going to do this?
Your girl's not working?
No, she is. She is now. But at the time, I was kind of like, what the fuck am I going to do? I can't give up wrestling because I know I'm going to resent my family for the rest of my life if I give it up.
Did anyone say to give up wrestling?
No. No one ever suggested, hey, you should probably stop wrestling because it's not making you money. I just
but in the
push
back
harder.
Of your head, you're like, a real man would go.
A real man was like, I'm going to go work at the factory and make some real money for this family. But no, I'd end up pushing harder and got more money somehow, some way.
It's all coming in. Who were some of the funny guys that you were on shows with? Because like that's kind of the fun of that. And like when I had Jake on here, it's just like, like some of my fun, I think most fun like memories is just like these odd shows I was on in the beginning, and you're just on with these old AWA guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, Buck Zumhoff, who's in jail now, I was on a bunch of shows with him.
He is?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, you
I didn't know
that
about
one?
that. He's in jail now?
Oh, go look that one up.
No shit.
Yeah, he did some not good things with his daughter.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very gross. And there's Jake Millman and all these AWA guys that were around. So you were around like these.
Oh yeah.
With it being in is that the Mid-South North Carolina? What would that be? Central, Mid-Central.
The
Mid-century.
Mid-Atlantic, you call it? Yes.
Yeah. Being in the Mid-Atlantic, there's probably some hanging around her guys, and then also being in Highspots, like there's all these stars are kind of around.
Ricky Morton was a big one.
That was your favorite?
Ricky Morton's my favorite. I love Ricky Morton. Every time I see him, he's always got some weird, dirty jokes.
Does he know your name?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, he loves me.
Okay. And you know what I'm saying. There's the guys who know your name and the guys who don't.
And the guys who walk by go, hey, kid. Yeah, and you know him for 3 fucking years. No, but Ricky always acknowledges me. He loves me. And every time I see him, he has like a dirty joke, and it always revolves around Robert Gibson's dick. I don't know why. Every joke he has is like by Rob's dick.
And do you think he says that to everybody or just you? Do you think that's something you and him have?
I want to say it's everyone, but he always comes to me and tells me a Robert Gibson dick joke.
It. A good RGD.
And they're always different. So I don't know how many he has in the box, but they're always different.
Does he talk about it being cross-eyed?
Oh, no. God. Terrible.
Is that terrible?
It's always compliments about how huge it is.
Yeah?
Funny. Yeah. Huh. He says that all the time.
I'm intrigued. I'll have to go look back at some old tapes.
Oh, God.
See how he's doing down there. Oh. I'm sure with the ladies, man, those guys were ladies. Like,
oh, yeah, they were
crushing it.
Left and right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And still trying to crush it now. That's the funniest part.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know about Rob, but I'm pretty sure.
Is Ricky married?
I think so.
He's sorted?
Remember correctly.
Okay.
His son's always with him, so I would assume he wouldn't have time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Unless his son is working for him.
I mean,
is his son wrestling yet?
Yes, he is.
How old is he?
Was he 15 now?
Oh, Jesus.
He's tall. He's like 6 foot.
Is he really?
It kills me.
Oh, wow.
He's so much taller than me. I hate it.
They have their school now, too, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Is that still up and going?
Still running strong.
Yeah. I tried to get Ricky on here. He's real weird about it.
He's got his own podcast now.
What's that?
He's got his own podcast now.
Does he?
Yeah. George South was just on it. He stopped training to do Ricky's podcast.
Ricky gave me his number, and then I texted him in front of him, and it was the wrong number.
Ricky,
I was like, maybe I get it. I was like, oh, never mind. Because I've been on these shows with these guys, just like you have for a long time.
Yeah.
Cool. And then now, things are going great for you.
Things are going fantastic.
It's the future is high. I don't know what that means.
It's bright, right? Yeah, we say it's bright. Yeah, bright. Why is it high?
I don't know. Because it's like the future, way up in the air. And here's my thinking of that. It's way up in the air, and you're down here, so you just have so much longer to go. There's so much in this future for you.
I can see that. Okay, I got you.
The meaning behind the future is high, which was sad.
Just bad phrasing, that's all.
Yeah. So, what are you trying to? I don't know. What's the goals in life, and what you just trying to?
It's still the same. Just be a success in wrestling. I don't want to do any other jobs. I just want to wrestle, which I've been fortunate enough to do that for the last 4 years or so.
Well, I'll talk about this. You've had this. You've obviously I don't know, it's so weird. I always talked about how when I was starting ish, low key was pretty hot, and there's a lot of people trying to be low key. And I was always like, well, he's the only one who can be him,
right?
So obviously, and then I weirdly changed my career into being this faux comedy wrestler or whatever. So obviously you've been around, you've turned your style into kind of the similar style that a lot of these people are doing these days, but cool enough, you've kind of you've started to move on to be one of the top guys of that style, or you dance around there's X amount that would be in that top echelon,
right?
Because I know I'm talking vaguely and weirdly, but you've been to shows where people try to do probably the same way that you work.
Oh yeah,
and it's embarrassing because they're just not there yet.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
A lot of guys. Oh yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So but you you had to come to do that kind of style. Did you set out I'm just kind of wondering where your mindset was, is what kind of wrestler you were going to be, or how you're going to do it, or how you evolved to become the wrestler that you are today, and the way that you wrestle.
I modeled myself heavily after AJ Styles. I'm a huge AJ mark. So a lot of things he does and the way he does them are very different as far as the fluidity and just his general athleticism. So I try to do a lot of his stuff basically. Mm-hmm. I still love his moves. And everyone tells me, man, what you do, it looks so cool or whatever. I was I copy this guy and then put a little twist on it, and then okay, now it's mine. That's about how far as I think it through. But one guy told me, you know the difference between you and AJ Styles? I believe you a lot more because of the emotion. I was like, I guess. Like,
that man was your
think.
stepfather. Your only fan.
the only one that loves me. But I'm just athletic and I can do things, and I just try to get everyone to believe what I'm doing. Like, I always look at it as I find myself really hitting people in the face as hard as I can because that's what I want the person watching to believe. So, yeah, I've walked away with a couple of bruised knuckles and people not liking me very much.
So you haven't realized the art of being as good.
Yeah, the art of
make it look like it and not
make
hit
it,
that man in the face.
I haven't quite got that yet.
Yeah. Have you ever got in a fight in the ring?
No, I never got in a fighting ring actually.
Oh.
I've had a couple guys that heated at me,
Yeah.
but never like it went to full fisticuffs. No, I'm expecting it to happen one day.
If you're gonna keep rocking people, huh?
Yeah.
So one day you're gonna upset the wrong guy.
I've been better at it though. I'm better at it now. It's not perfect, but it's getting there.
I was gonna say, have we ever?
We've never wrestled.
We've never wrestled.
We've never
have
wrestled.
we?
I think there was like a weird PWG's. No, you weren't in that one. You weren't in that one.
I don't think so.
I think I want to say we did like a weird tag match, but we didn't actually touch.
Yeah. But we've definitely never one-on-one.
No.
Is that a term? We haven't one-on-one.
We never one-on-one. We never singled it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna make that term. Future's high for you.
It's really high, super high.
Your life is bright, and I'm proud of everything that you've done. And
thank you,
can't
Cole.
wait for you to rock the world, man.
I appreciate
Where are you
it.
at on the internet?
I am at Cedric Alexander on Twitter. Yeah, I feel like I should have like an extra thing on it, like Cedric Alexander pro wrestler or something. I don't know, but
You should definitely just be Cedric Alexander.
so, but the reason that I think I should change that is because you know there's like a deputy sheriff thing said by the name of Cedric Alexander.
No, I have no clue.
So some guy on CNN who goes on and talks about it like, the cops are killing black people and blah, blah, blah. Every time he opens his mouth, someone tweets me and I get all his heat.
His name's Cedric Alexander?
His name is Cedric Alexander, spelled the exact same way. So I feel like I
What's
should...
his Twitter handle?
He doesn't have one. That's the thing.
Oh,
So people
man.
tweet, they tweet me like I...
Do you find yourself getting more his tweets than tweets directed at you?
Yes.
Oh, that's so annoying.
It's terrible.
Now I understand why you would say
See,
that.
instead, I feel like I should put something on the end of it or
But
something.
he'll be done for in a couple weeks, and you'll.
Oh yeah, he'll be.
Nice long
He's like
time.
70. He'll be dead.
Yeah, you'll have a nice long career. Instagram or anything? Facebook anything?
Instagram, Cedric Alexander 1.
There you go. You could have done that.
Yeah, see, yeah, I could have done that, but too late now because I feel like if I change it, the verification thing's gonna be gone. I want to keep that.
You want to keep that. Yes.
Don't Facebook me ever. I don't. I hate when people talk about Facebook if I don't know you. It's
Hey,
weird.
leave him alone, guys.
I hate Facebook.
Okay.
I get a lot of weird stuff on there.
I believe I don't use Facebook to its full potential.
No, me neither.
I just post my dates and stuff.
I just watch stuff.
I
and
am a
then-
big Facebook
yeah.
watcher also.
All those weird videos of like lions eating kids.
People are saying Facebook's awful.
I love it.
It's the best.
It's the
It's how I get
greatest
my
thing.
news.
That's how I get on my nerd memorabilia,
Yeah.
like my weird pajama pants and t-shirts.
And also, I don't know who's posting these. I'm not friends with any of them,
Hmm?
but somehow they're just all. Some like 10 years ago, I befriended a bunch of fans or something,
Right.
and they're doing great of keeping me informed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all it's good for.
So keep it up, guys. And let's plug Highspots, right?
Yeah, it's plug Highspots. Go to Highspots. You want to get trained? You want some gear?
Who's
Go all
training
that.
there? George still?
George still trains on Tuesdays. Caleb Conley does Wednesdays, and Jake Manning now does Thursdays.
He's back in it. Huh?
He's back in it.
He's,
I've told him for years he's so good, but he just
He's in and out. dude.
he's in and out.
Well,
like,
that's frustrating, and I know.
I understand
like, it's
it.
Super like he's not going to say it to you. Maybe he has, but like he watches guys like you and Caleb.
He has told me that before.
And it's
Yeah.
got to be like frustrating for a guy like him who's great at the job.
Yeah, he's great at what he
I
does.
don't know why. Like,
I've always said Jake was born 20 years too late. Like if he was coming up like NWA, 85, something like that, be perfect.
maybe fine.
Be perfect.
Well, sometimes what's old is new. I don't know.
But he's doing great with his comedy. So
Yeah, I can't wait to see him. I should.
you haven't seen him?
I haven't seen him. Do
Okay,
stand-up yet.
I don't want to say that because I haven't seen him either. But I've heard a lot of
He's
his
doing a lot
stand
of
up.
dates. Yeah.
It's really good stuff.
All
I
right.
enjoy it.
Is Zane doing stuff too?
Not comedy wise.
He isn't doing comedy.
He should. He's pretty good at it too.
Goofball, right?
He could be.
You should just start. Michael should just open a Highspots comedy adjacent.
Ah.
And then they can run a club out of there.
But then who else would you get? Would you get other wrestlers to do it, or you just be Jake and
This
Zane?
isn't for me. This is for him to figure out.
Oh, see, now I'm going to think about that. I'm going to go back to Michael and see if we can make that happen.
Let him know.
That'd be cool.
All right, buddy.
Well, Colt,
That's it.
that was fun. Wait, does this mean I'm like a guy now? Am I like super famous because I'm on your show?
You're just a guy.
I'm just a guy. Oh.
Wait, does this mean I'm a guy who's super famous?
Yeah, does it mean I'm super famous now?
I've had a lot of scrubs on this show,
I don't know,
buddy.
man.
You're one of them.
I'm a huge Dolph Ziggler fan. You had Dolph Ziggler on here. That's pretty awesome to me.
You're a huge Dolph Ziggler fan?
Yeah, I love Dolph. It's great. I want to wrestle him one day. One day I will. I will.
I'm sure you'll have the chance at AIW in Cleveland, Ohio.
He will get released, and I will see him there.
Yeah. All right, like I said in the beginning, we don't touch on any of the WWE stuff, but you know it's coming. You know he's going to be great. Whatever he does for the company, he's going to be amazing. Cedric Alexander, he proved it in that match with Ibushi. He is an unbelievable talent. And I've been on shows with him since, too, and we've talked about this, where that match was unbelievable. And I remember I was sharing a flat with Chris Gethard this summer in Edinburgh, and he was blown away by it. But talking to him, I was like, it's kind of like the matches that you just have in general. He's like, yeah, that's my normal like independent match. So keep in mind that this guy is doing great things, but those matches are happening on independent shows all over the world. Pick the right shows, come to the right shows, and yeah, you're going to be blown away by what you see on the CWC, but you're also always going to be blown away by what you see at these amazing independent shows that are happening all over the place. And Cedric was a good guy to have on our team, on our roster. Now he's leaving, and somebody else will pick up the slack, I'm sure. Before we get out of here, let's get into some plugs and
Upcoming events.
ColtMerch.com, digitalcolt.com is the best way you can support. Twitter and Instagram at Colt Cabana, Facebook /AOW Podcast, also /Colt Cabana. Past archives of the show are available on howl.fm. Use the code COLT. Get yourself a free month. ColtWrestling@gmail.com is the best way that you can email me. Maybe a promoter want to put me on your upcoming show or convention. I do have a YouTube channel. I also have a website, ColtCabana.com. I got a P.O. box there. You can send me some snail mail. Upcoming bunch of ROH dates. Let me list them up. September 16th, 17th, 24th, 30th. October 1st, 14th, 15th, 21st, 22nd, and 29th. Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, Detroit, Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, and Baltimore. ROHWrestling.com. Thursday, October 6th, Clarksville, Indiana. Facebook /IWA Mid-South Wrestling. Friday, October 7th, Marionette Park, Illinois, AAWrestling.com. Saturday, October 8th, Kansas City, Kansas, MetroWrestling.com. Sunday, October 16th, Austin, Texas, WrestleCircus.com. And Sunday, October 30th, Gainesville, Florida, TheFestFL.com. That's right, I'm heading to the Fest. I know the Ergs are reuniting at the Fest, and I met one of them this week at WrestlePro, so that's very fun. I know the other one from being on the Chris Gethard show. All right, that is the show for this week. Thank you very much for you guys at home for listening, telling a friend, spreading the word, let them know that you like this podcast. It's different, and for that, you appreciate it. Thanks to Cedric Alexander. Thanks to Cable Guy Jeff and Stu Stone, Kid Russell, Matt Jenkins on the music, Dane Miller with some tech. How about some sponsors? Highspots.com, an amazing VOD service, subscription box, AMA knee pads, gear, mask, wrestling ring, or be a wrestler, or just be the next Cedric Alexander. You can go there to do that. OneHourTees.com. They help run ProWrestlingTees.com. Help support your favorite independent wrestler by buying a t-shirt there and being awesome. And tweakedaudio.com/Colt, the earbuds that I use. Get over 30% off and free shipping just because you listen to this show. We're done. After this, I'm going on a big ROH bender, so that should be very interesting. A lot of dates coming up, and we'll see as I throw myself in head first to the ROH pool. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Guys, this has been The Art of Wrestling. For Colt Cabana, I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks.